Hey Heidi, how's it going?
Hello, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you as well. How's
Oh,
life?
you are in the cave.
I'm in a car again. Yeah, driving. My friends are driving to
Oh,
another part of Washington D.C. and I'm in the car with them.
why are you driving again?
I'm just in every possible place this week.
How busy?
Uh, yeah, how's life?
How busy you are?
So busy, super busy.
So busy, no?
Wait, you guys need money?
Mm.
Hold on one sec. Do we have cash or credit?
Yeah.
Hold on one sec.
Oh, coins only?
I don't really have coins.
Mhm.
No bills, coin. What? How is that even possible?
Two quarters?
I should just drop the bill and run, yo. I'm still
Mm.
paid. Sorry, Heidi, we're at a location where we need to pay money, and we don't have any coins. We just have bills.
Are you in a highway, high speedway?
So we're just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, we'll try.
Yeah, it's a highway with a toll situation. Do we just throw a couple coins in there? Okay, whatever. In any case, so yeah, I'm just busy, just like driving around and stuff, going with some friends to different places. How was your day? Was there anything interesting, fun, special, cool?
Oh, oh, look at money.
I'm sorry? Yeah, I'm just putting money back, yeah.
The money.
Not that much. So, yeah, did you do anything cool today?
Not so much. I woke up at 5:30 and I had some calling lesson.
Nice.
And I went to the clinic for my treatment. Oh,
Nice. Cool, very cool. So you're able to go to the clinic. How's your, uh, is your arm feeling better?
it's getting much better. Mm. Now my
Are you,
right
it's
hand,
getting better. Okay, cool. Fantastic.
my right
So,
hand helps, and left hand helps right hand well. For example, I want to wash the dish.
uh-huh.
Left hand need to support. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
much better.
That's really good. So it's getting better. Things are gonna look better. Um, so
Okay.
actually, Heidi, let's get started with the
Mm.
beginning of the lesson because it's a couple more minutes in. And
Mm.
just wanted to ask you, so today, the beginning of the lesson is we are going to be, I want to start off by talking about um, why do you think countries especially are so interested in
I
constructing
don't
extremely
know.
tall buildings?
I
Is it
studied
maybe
in
a question?
I
Go
studied
ahead.
Italian in Italy, and very close to Bologna. Bologna is a old city. They are the oldest university in that place. Then
Uh-huh.
after getting back, I was watching TV about Bologna. Before, one person constructed a big tower like chimney, but it's very big and tall.
Mm-hmm.
Then other person constructed another chimney like tower. Then a
Mm-hmm.
little higher than the previous person. And the
The
next,
first one, yeah.
everyone wanted to construct chimney, very tall tower. Then
Yeah, right?
it's kind of that status.
It's
They
so
want
it's Go
they
ahead, I'm
want
sorry, Heidi.
wanted to show their and the others like I'm very rich.
Yeah, right. So they want to show status. They want to show maybe it's a question of national pride, actually, also, right? They want to say, hey, our country has the ability to make big buildings and create tall skyscrapers, and that's it's something that I think is almost a part of their national identity.
Yes,
It gives
yes,
the it gives the country bragging rights, right? They can say,
mm,
we have the ability to do this, you guys can't do this, and stuff like that, right?
mm,
Today, one of the things that we're going to be talking about today, actually, in our class, is the creation of an invisible tower, right? So we have heard of buildings that have, architecturally speaking, we've heard of the tallest buildings being made. We've heard of buildings that have 90-degree rotations in them, right? This is the first time people are talking about creating a building that actually is invisible, right?
China is now a boom to construct the skyscraper.
Yeah, China is doing a lot to do, is doing a lot of skyscraper building.
And they will construct over 1,300.
Skyscrapers?
Yes, within 5 years.
Wow. Doesn't surprise me, honestly, because I know the Chinese are buying the most cement in the world. They're doing a lot of, their highway expansion across their country has been at a very rapid pace.
And even rapid train now, the fastest in the world.
So it beat the Japanese one also then.
Oh no, Chinese is the fastest.
Yeah, didn't Japan hold the record for the fastest trains before China?
Japan is now constructing.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it takes long.
Interesting. Okay. Most of it. That's really cool. So, yeah, today the article will actually focus on South Korea. So South Korea is obviously another very developed Asian country, and even though we have seen Middle Eastern countries like the UAE and Saudi Arabia have been vying to create the world's tallest buildings, this idea of making the world's tallest invisible building is coming from the South Koreans. So before we get to that, though, today the grammar lesson that we're going to be focusing on actually is we are going to be looking at adverbs, and specifically we learned in other lessons that adverbs are used to describe verbs, they're used to modify verbs, and they're used to modify verbs, other adverbs, or adjectives, right? So there's three things adverbs can do. We're going to be looking at specific types of adverbs. The first of which is we refer to these in English as intensifiers, right? So, well, intensifiers is actually the umbrella term for any kind of adverb that either emphasizes words, or they amplify words, or they are downtoners, right? So there's three types of these intensifiers. They can either emphasize, they can amplify, or they can downtone, right? So if something intensifies a word, right, then, you know, it's something like if you say, he's an extremely good swimmer, right? He's an extremely good swimmer. You are intensifying the fact that he is good, right? So good is an adjective. You can use an adverb to intensify that. And, you know, you can also say words like, you know, Sarah, or for example, Heidi really doesn't like to go to loud parties. So that happens. Right? That's another example. She really doesn't like to go to loud parties. So it's a special kind of adverb, right? We're emphasizing certain things. In this example, we're emphasizing a verb, right? Really doesn't like. In the first one, it was extremely good, so we are modifying an adjective, right? Yeah. So what are some examples that you can think of, Heidi, of an adverb that is an intensifier? Like that is one of these types of adverbs. So we looked at really. Definitely. I'm sorry.
How about the definitely? Is it an intensifier?
Yeah. So an intensifier is a word that is used to say, like you are emphasizing. Well. Yeah. You're just emphasizing the fact that something is.
More or so or.
Yeah. Really, so really, or. Really, extremely. So you can say so as well, right? Like I'm so happy with something. I'm so sad about something, right? So these are the three that we can use.
Definitely, is it intensifier?
Definitely, I think is an emphasizer. So yes, it is an intensifier, right? Because you are saying, you know, I will definitely arrive to the party by 9 o'clock. Yes. Right. So you are modifying that verb arrive, and you're saying yes, this will happen, right? I will definitely arrive. Thinking about it in another sense.
Really, wow.
Really, or like truly, are, you know, all of these are examples. So can you make a sentence with one of these types of words?
I definitely agree with you.
I definitely agree with you, right? Yeah. So in that case, what is the verb that is being modified?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the verb that's being modified?
Agree.
Agree, right? Yeah. So I definitely agree with you, right? So definitely is the adverb and it's modifying the verb agree, and it's an intensifier because you're saying. So next time. You're not saying I just. you're saying, I am certainly or definitely agreeing with you, right?
Yes, yes.
So that's the first type, right? When we look at emphasizers have, you know, emphasizers are really that they add more emphasis. I mean, that's a bad way to describe it, but they add more power to a word or to an adverb. You can think of it as almost a muscle, like a grammar muscle, right? It's adding strength to the word. And we are, yeah, go ahead.
America is really great and always not adverb, adjective.
Yeah, right. America. If you say America is a really great country, then yeah, the same thing. Adjective would be the adjective is great, and then really would be the intensifier, right? Or the emphasizer in this case. So in this example, if we think about amplifiers, right? Amplifiers, the difference between them and emphasizers, amplifiers enhance or enlarge a word's meaning, right? So if you say something like, I completely understand your situation, kind of like how we said I completely agree, right? Or I'm sorry, you said before you said I definitely agree, right? If you say something like completely, then you are saying that you understand every aspect of the situation, right? You understand everything that's being mentioned, right?
Yes.
So I understand completely the situation. Completely is an example of an amplifier, right? And then, or you can say, for example, I totally made a mistake, right? Or I mean, in the opposite sense, you answered the question totally correctly, right? Or things like that, right? Those are words that we can use to amplify meaning, enlarging the meaning of the sentence, right? So, what is an example of that? Yeah.
He's truly honest, right?
I don't know what the line is now.
He is truly honest, right? So that would mean that you're saying, for example, that the person has a lot of, or is very honest, right? Extremely honest,
Yeah.
right? In all aspects, this person is honest, right? That would work as well. So he's truly honest, right? And then, so amplifiers and emphasizers, or I'm sorry, intensifiers, or I'm sorry, I should say emphasizers because they're all called intensifiers. Amplifiers and emphasizers are all these kinds of words that add meaning or they enlarge the meaning of the word, right? The third type of thing that we looked at, the third type of intensifier that we looked at, actually does the opposite, right? It decreases the meaning of the adverb or the verb or the adjective, right? So these are what we call the downtoners, right? The downtone is decreasing the meaning of the is an adverb that decreases the meaning of a word or the emphasis of a word, right? And one example is if we say, for example, I kind of do something, right? It kind of plus a verb, right? I kind of understand the situation, right? I kind of agree with you, right? You can also think of it as maybe somewhat. I somewhat agree with you, right? I kind of agree with you. You are de-emphasizing the word, right? What's another example do you think, Heidi? I kind of agree with you. Something like that. Another word like kind of.
He seems slightly angry.
He seems slightly angry, right? So what does slightly imply? Slightly implies that the meaning is less than complete, right? Or I mean, less than less than being fully angry, right?
Yeah.
If somebody says he is slightly angry with you, then that means he's less than fully angry, right? Another example we can think of is so kind of, somewhat, slightly. Another example would be, I guess. Let me try to think of another one. Where it's de-emphasizing something. You can say partly, right? I partly agree with you, or I partly understand the situation, right? So partly is another adverb that is a de-emphasizer, or what we call here a down. An example of downtoner, right? It's a downtoner. It decreases the meaning of a sentence, right? I partly agree with you. I somewhat agree with you. I kind of agree with you, right? So these are all sentences. These are all words that help in that regard. What's another? Okay, so I think you answered all of those, right?
For example, he's
Yeah,
kind of rich today.
he is kind of rich today, right?
Yeah. Today
So,
is his payday, so
yeah, okay, so if today's payday, then someone has a little bit more money today than he did yesterday, right? So he's kind of rich, right? Is
yeah.
he is he very rich, or is he totally rich, or is he completely in a better position than yesterday? No, right? Just has a little bit more money on his hand because today was payday, and as a result, he is kind of rich, right? Fantastic. That's a good way of thinking about it, right? Um, any other questions about this, Heidi?
No question.
No questions so far? Okay. I think
Yeah.
what we're going to do then, you're the only student so far. I'm going to quickly jump into the link for this article, right? I'm going to go
Yeah.
ahead and we're going to start reading it. And let's take a look to see what we can learn about this invisible tower, Infinity, right? So this building that South Korea is planning on making is called Tower Infinity.
Mm.
And I think it's a really cool idea what they want to be able to achieve, but we just have to kind of see to make sure if this is actually, maybe this will start a new revolution in architecture. I honestly don't know. I think it'll be really cool to see what they do with this. So let me also go ahead and start screen sharing my link here
Mm.
so you can see it that
Oh,
way.
yes, yes.
Already, do you see the link?
Yes.
Okay. Tower Infinity, South Korea's invisible skyscraper. New technology will allow Seoul's Tower Infinity to blend in with the surrounding skyline, right? So this building looks amazing, right? Look at how they're going to use technology using some
Mm.
system called an LED facade system, and that
Uh-huh.
it would make sure that it would make it so that the building would not appear,
Mm.
depending on how much power was being uh, used to run this LED facade system. If it's at 30% power, then it would only look like this screen right here, where the building would be somewhat invisible. If the building ran on 100% power, it would be fully invisible, right?
Mm.
So let's read how they're planning on doing this. So it says here, when it comes to approving the construction of new developments, certain countries seem to be especially supportive of a bigger is better approach. Recently commenced or completed projects in Dubai and China, for example, have included the construction of the world's biggest building, the world's tallest hotel, and the largest private museum in Asia. In what could be seen as a dismissive retort to such superlative structures, South Korea's newly revealed Tower Infinity is being termed as an anti-tower by the architects behind the project. American firm GDS. Despite its soaring height, it will reach 1,476 feet. They say that instead of symbolizing the prominence as another of the world's tallest and best towers, it sets itself apart by celebrating the global community rather than focusing on itself. How the building will celebrate the global community is unclear, but in order to us ostensibly, well, its designers have incorporated a feature that is garnering plenty of attention. Technology integrated into the facade, or I guess the construction of the tower, the face of the tower, that is to render it invisible. As CNN reports, this building will house cameras that will capture real-time images of the surroundings, which will be displayed on hundreds of rows of LED screens spread over the tower, and which will allow observers to take in the view that the tower would otherwise block. Digital processing will modify the images to allow the building to blend in with the surroundings further, thereby ensuring the camouflage is even more effective. The building is due for completion in 2014 and is likely to include leisure facilities, including a theme park, restaurants, and an observation deck positioned at a height of 1,286 feet. International visitors to Seoul should have no trouble seeing it, or not, as the case may be, when they arrive in South Korea, as it is being built near the capital's Incheon International Airport. For an example of an invisible building already in existence, Sweden's Mirror Cube hotel room is clad in mirrors and seamlessly with the forest that surrounds it. So, pretty amazing, right? I mean, when you see the Arabs building these tall buildings, right, they're not really incorporating any creativity into the structure, right? We kind of see the same thing with China, but they're going for size, they're not going for creativity. What do you take away from this article? Is South Korea really embarking on a different approach with this? What do you think?
Yeah, even South Korea is a kind of high technology. They are proud of their high technology. They want to show their kind of technology to the world.
Yeah, and it's a very interesting kind of situation, right? I mean, how will this, do you think this will enhance South Korea's position as a leader
Mm.
in East Asia? I mean, what are the reasons do you think that maybe the country has spent so much money to design this building? What could be some of the reasons?
But it's all not government, right?
It's a private company, it seems. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Samsung is constructing.
Yeah. Right. But I mean,
Some Samsung is very rich.
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Only Samsung is very rich in the South Korea. Only Samsung, the payment is very good. So people can't get job in Samsung. It's very difficult. Only graduate of the famous university is not enough. So nowadays, South Korean students go to America to learn English. They require graduate the high skilled student, but also they need to speak English fluently.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, Heidi. You kind of broke out in the middle there. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
Hmm?
I didn't hear what you said in the last couple minutes. I
Yeah,
apologize.
it's okay. Um,
Yeah.
and among the companies in South Korea,
Uh
only
huh.
Samsung is very good.
Only Samsung is very good up there,
Yeah,
right?
kind of hierarchy. They are living in another place.
Uh huh.
That only that place is very gorgeous.
Uh huh.
Mm.
But the other companies are
So
not at the same level, right?
not so same, because they order the parts
Uh-huh.
for the device to Japan. They don't
Mhm.
trust the Korean
Mhm.
companies. Mm. So it's kind of
Mhm.
frustration among people, people in the
Mhm.
South Korea.
That makes sense,
So
actually.
sometimes they have
Yeah, that
a
they're
riot.
using foreign. Sometimes they have riots, really.
Mm.
Wow, I had no idea. I mean, I think Samsung being a multinational company really kind of has to accept or has to deal with other countries, right? It might not necessarily always be a South Korean company that they're working with because of the challenge that come with being a multinational organization, right? But I think
Mm.
they're doing a great job. I mean, I think Samsung really, even the tallest building in the world right now,
Yes, yes, yes.
the one in Dubai,
Mm.
they funded a lot of that. I think, or they were
Yeah,
building a
yeah.
lot of that.
So it's very good thing to encourage the people in South Korea. Actually, South Korean people are
Yeah,
still very poor. But
really.
if they have some, yeah, amazing like this tower, it's proud of the people in South Korea.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think so too. Do you think, Heidi, that this will revolutionize architecture in South Korea
Yeah, I
or
think
in the
so.
world if this building is successful?
I think so.
Uh-huh.
It's successful. Before
How
they
come?
failed, once very big department collapsed suddenly around 10 years
Uh-huh.
ago. A building suddenly collapsed. Many people died.
In South Korea?
Yes.
Wow. I had no idea that that was the case actually. But now I think their architecture is getting a lot better and a lot more interesting so that
Yes,
they are
yeah. So
able
uh,
to.
they want to show their technology to the world.
Uh-huh.
Before they failed.
Very cool.
And even no earthquake, nothing. Suddenly, a big bridge collapsed. That time, many
Uh-huh.
people died.
So many people also died in the bridge collapse, right?
Yes, yes.
Wow. I actually had no idea that these architectural kind of mishaps had taken place in South Korean history. Um, But in any case, Heidi, so you do think this will revolutionize technology, which is, I think, really cool, because I think South Korea has really one of the best, like, I mean, their image is so strong in the international scene as a nation of innovation, right? They have
Yes.
a lot of foreign investment. They have a lot of multinational companies, um, and yeah, I think it'll be really cool to see what happens with this tower.
Mm.
Uh, Another question for you, Heidi. Do you think there's really a need for countries to focus on creating these massive, super tall skyscrapers?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, is there really a reason to do it besides national pride?
People are very glad
Yeah.
if they construct a very tall tower. Even Japan last year it constructed very tall
Hmm.
tower, 643 meter.
Hmm.
It's only tower, not
Oh,
building.
wow.
But people are very glad.
Uh-huh. And I mean, do people live inside it, or is just a tower, as in, and it's just like a TV tower or something like that?
Yes, yes. Before Japan had a Tokyo Tower. Even it was quite tall, but last year they constructed another tower, Sky Trees.
Hmm.
It's very
The
tall.
Sky Tree. Okay. Interesting, interesting.
Many people
Um,
go up to the place, view spot, but
uh-huh.
very difficult to take ticket now.
Can you see all of Tokyo from this tower? Is it in
Yeah,
Tokyo?
yeah, sure, sure. Because
It's in
the
Tokyo. Wow.
place is
That's awesome.
around 600-meter high from the ground
Oh,
level.
wow. That is ultra tall. That does sound like a very, very, very large building, or very tall building. Very cool. I had no idea. Um,
Mm.
but Heidi, another question also. I mean, when we think about, so you do believe that there is a need to have tall buildings. It increases national pride, right? It can also be something that is beneficial, right, to the
Mm.
country's people. But how can architecture, like creative architecture, like in this particular example, we see South Korea is going down the line, or going
Mm.
down the path of doing something that will also incorporate a theme park, a lot of
Mm.
maybe offices, apartments, maybe, right? How can creative architecture help people, improve the lives of people who live in these cities like Seoul, Tokyo? Can it actually help enhance lives, or is it just something you look at and say, oh, it's beautiful and it's very nice to look
Mm.
at?
I'm not sure about this South Korean tower. This is the first time to see. But Dubai has the tallest building, right? So
The
far,
Dubai one, yeah.
Dubai.
Uh-huh.
The architecture was now constructing in China, the same height building.
Uh-huh. Exactly, right?
Mm. So it's kind of an experiment for the architecture. Architect.
Uh-huh. Architecture, right? Yeah. So it does.
Yeah.
I mean, but is that architecture actually helping? Is that design of these buildings actually helping the people who live there? Is it helping the people in the city? Like, does it have any benefit besides the fact
Mm.
that it looks really nice? You
Yeah.
know, or is it good for the environment, for example, maybe to make these
Mm.
buildings, these super
But
tall buildings?
around 10 years ago, a terror attack happened in New York, right? I
Hmm.
saw that the building was collapsing. That scene was very terrible.
It was, yeah. I mean, a lot of people died, and it's. I mean, it changed the world, really, right? But
Yeah, that's
I
right.
mean, eh, I guess I don't really know. I mean, I think for me personally, if a country wanted to invest that much money in
Mm.
architecture, they could build maybe housing for their poor citizens, or they could make
Mm.
normal sized buildings. They could invest the money in meaningful architecture projects and meaningful construction projects, instead of
Mm.
maybe allocating all the money to go to some massive tower that is going to be rented out at really high prices, right? I mean,
Mm.
I don't think I don't think the average person can live in Infinity Tower, right? I
Yeah.
think it'll be
And,
the very rich people. Yeah.
many rich companies want to want to be rented that tower building. It's kind of symbol of South Korea, maybe.
Almost as if, and especially if South Korean companies can do that, then that's something that
Yeah.
they would really the feature, right? They would say, wow, look at what we've been able to achieve as a country.
Mm.
Look at all our creativity, right? That stuff is going to be something that I think is really
Mm.
kind of different for the South Korean people.
If Japanese company want to have some office, maybe they want to have office in that tower. Then after that, they introduce themselves. Oh, my office is this tower. It's kind of proud of.
Absolutely. Is that better? Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Heidi, you know, I'm super sorry, but my laptop is gonna die in 50 minutes. So
Really?
because we have because you're the only person in the class, and we actually went through everything that we wanted to mention. Do you mind if I cut class a little short, and then in half an hour I will have a new class, and then we can get through most of that class with my battery power still remaining, so that we can do the next class completely more. But before we end, though, I mean, did you have any questions about this anti-tower, invisibility tower, or invisible tower, or the intensifiers that we looked at before? So just different groups of adverbs really are what they are.
No, I'm worrying about this building because it's invisible. So sometimes some airplane crash or something. I worried about that.
Yeah, that's a consideration too, right? I wonder what kind of safety mechanisms they have in place to prevent something like that. Right. That's a good point. That's a very good point. Well, Heidi, in any case, thank you for the class. I look forward to seeing you in a half an hour. I'll be back. Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Goodbye. Take care, Heidi. Thanks for understanding. Bye-bye. Yeah, thank you. Take care. Hey, Heidi, how's it going?
Hello, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you as well. How's life?
Oh, you are in the cave.
I'm in a car again. Yeah. Driving. My friends are driving to another part of Washington, D.C., and I am in the car with them. I always, I'm just in every possible place this week. Yeah, how's life?
How busy you are?
So busy, super busy.
So busy, no?
Wait, you guys need money? Hold on one sec. Do we have cash or credit?
Yeah.
Hold on one sec.
Oh, coins on me?
I don't really have coins. Different places. How was your day? Was there anything interesting, fun, special, cool?
Oh. Oh, look at money.
I'm sorry? Yeah, I'm just putting money back, yeah.
No money.
Not that much. So, yeah, did you do anything cool today?
Not so much. I woke up at 5:30 and I had some calling lesson.
Nice.
And I went to the clinic for my treatment. Oh.
Nice. Cool, very cool. So you're able to go to the clinic. How's your... Is your arm feeling better?
It's getting much better.
Countries especially are so interested in constructing extremely tall buildings.
I
Is it
studied
maybe a question?
I studied Italian in Italy, and very close to Bologna. Bologna is a old city. They are the oldest university in that place. Then after getting back, I was watching TV about Bologna. Before, one person constructed a big tower like chimney, but it's very big and tall. Then other person constructed another chimney like tower. Then a little higher than the previous person. And the next, everyone wanted to construct. Now my right hand.
Oh, it's getting better. Okay, cool. Fantastic. So
my right hand helps, and left hand helps right hand well. For example, I want to wash the dish. Left hand need to support. Yeah,
absolutely.
Much better.
That's really good. So it's getting better. Things are gonna look better. So actually, Heidi, let's get started with the beginning of the lesson because it's a couple more minutes in. And just wanted to ask you, so today, the beginning of the lesson is we are going to be, I want to start off by talking about why do you think No bills coin. What? How is that even possible?
Have 2 quarters?
I should just drop the bill and run, yo. We still paid. Sorry, Heidi. We're at a location where we need to pay money, and we don't have any coins. We just have bills.
Are you in a highway, high speedway?
So we're just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, we'll try.
Yeah, it's a highway with a toll situation. Do we just throw a couple coins in there? Okay, whatever. In any case, so yeah, I'm just busy, just like driving around and stuff. Going with some friends to